On this episode of Real Estate on the Rocks, we're going to talk about the compound effect.
Welcome to Real Estate on the Rocks, where you get top shelf real estate conversations served straight up, never watered down. Here's your host, Dave Snowberger.
That is right. We're back into the studio today, and when I say we, I mean me and Marshall Tucker.
And me.
That's Marshall Tucker. And we got James, the new guy, the butcher himself, Mendez behind the glass on the ones and twos, or the threes and fours, or
what's going on?
The roadcaster is what he's really on here. So, all right, let's get into it today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about the compound effect and how you can put the compound effect to work in your daily habits. Some of you are asking, what's the compound effect? It's a strategy that you can reap huge rewards from small, seemingly insignificant actions. Small choices plus consistency plus time equals significant results. So we're going to talk about the little things us as real estate agents, realtors, can do in our day-to-day business, and especially during this we'll say right now, we don't really like to mark our episodes. However, we're in more of a slower holiday type of season right now, going back to this. However, this can be applied in any day, any month, any season, anything that you're doing in your career. You can always start applying the compound effect to your day-to-day actions. So let's go ahead and get into it real quick. Marshall, let's talk a little bit about the five just topics of the compound effect. I know the first one's choices. What do you mean by choices?
You got to start making the right choices. So I can decide to lay in bed every day, or I can make that choice. I guess first it's awareness, right? So you have to know that you need something to change, and you have to start working towards that.
Right.
And so if I want to start getting up earlier every day and know that I want to make it to the office a little bit earlier, then I just start setting my clock back just a little bit each day until it adds up to where I'm getting up an hour earlier than I was before.
Right. So you don't want to like shock and awe the system, right? You don't just want to, right now you roll out of bed. We do the podcast about 9, hour, you probably wake up about 8:15.
8:45.
Explains you getting here about 9:07, 9:08 every morning, blaming the traffic. The traffic never changes.
But the weather today.
Yeah, it was the weather today. The weather's pretty crap today.
Got to mix
I've been
it
up
up
since
a little
4 because the weather, the rain came in so hardcore. So, but anyway. So making those small little things every day, those small little changes, that's a great example of setting the alarm clock back. And during this holiday break, we'll go ahead and bring that up, is that more than likely you're going to fall out of the habits, the good habits you have right now of getting up early, or maybe getting to the gym, or, getting to work on time, especially if you're not going into the office as much because you don't have that much business right now. It seems to be the real estate business seems to go to sleep right about back in November, pretty much the day after Halloween, it seems to go to sleep. However, there are some markets that are still cooking. There's some people that refuse to go to sleep, and they're doing things every single day to continue with this stuff. If you're just jarring your head, we're going to give you some good examples of some little choices you can make. If you want to get to the office every day and you want to beat traffic, or you want to beat, if you work in a office environment where you go in and it's a communal area to work, right? I know that I used to go into a brokerage all the time, and I wanted to sit at a certain place all the time because I didn't like my back towards the door. However, there were other agents that would show up earlier than me. So I would have to go back and, I just went and I was like, I got to beat them to the office. That's the only way, I can do this. And so little by little, I started showing up a little bit earlier every day. So it wasn't like a shock and awe system when I walked in and they walk up to the room and walk in and I'm sitting in their spot, which is deemed their spot. It's not assigned seating. However, I beat them to it. And then after that, over time, the compounding effect of me doing that every day, it became whose spot?
Yours.
That's right.
That's how I feel about my parking spot outside there. Right. If I get here too late, someone takes it. What's going on here?
Right. And you know that, I guess that probably doesn't influence you to leave the house any earlier. However, it might make you make smart choices to not take that left.
I saw the alarm go off this morning at 8:05, 8:15. And I was like, dang it, James or Dave is at work already. One of them.
Yeah.
So I started getting dressed a little bit quicker.
It used to be James. It used to be James. Something's happened to James. He fell
off.
I've been starting my mornings instead of coming here and starting work. I've been doing it.
He's got a brand new habit.
Yeah, I just been popping up the tablet at my the kitchen table, and just going through like videos and taking in content and working on stuff at the house instead of coming in here.
There you go. So it starts with choices. So choices, you have to make the choice to, small habits, lead generate, right? So let's put these in terms of that agents want to know about or agents want to listen to or give them some value that they can put into these little habits every day, but lead generation, right? So you want to start making, if you're afraid to make FSBO calls, you don't need to bite off, or you hear this all the time, like 20, you need to make 20 to 30 calls a day or 50 calls a day or whatever it is. Okay, well, work up to that. Yeah. Right. And so bite off a fraction of it. Just make the one, come in and call one for sale by owner, call one expired.
Remember when I first started, you're on my ass about that. Make 5 phone calls. How hard is it to make 5 phone calls?
Yeah.
It's like, Jesus, I wasn't even making 2 phone calls. That's pretty hard, Dave. That's 75% more.
Yeah.
But now, up to 15, up to 20, up to 30, and you just keep upping it. And it
becomes easier. Who are you lying to? You're back to 0. Who are you lying to? Anyway, so yeah, I mean that's really what it was. Well, back then when I was making 20 or 30 phone calls myself, and then you come into the organization, making 5 phone calls should have been really relatively easy because that's where my gauge was set at making 20. It's like you can't make 5, and still I say that to people is I don't want to give anybody a pass on that. I really think it should be the minimum of 5. However, there's some people that won't respond to that. They don't want, to step out of their comfort zone just all at once. They just don't want to come straight out of the gates, right? So I'll give into that, and I encourage you to make the one phone call, make one for sale by owner. And then while you're waiting and it's dialing, don't start having a panic attack. Don't start sweating. Don't start having a panic attack. It's just a human being on the other side of that phone, and you'll soon see. They're not going to hang up on you. You should know what you're talking about. You should know about the house. I mean, before you call them, go ahead and study the house. If it's listed in Zillow or FSBO.com, read the description about the house. It might have the description of why they're actually selling for sale by owner. It might give you ideas that you could actually come up with an idea to help that person. Right. Yep. And to actually add value to that for sale by owner so they would engage you in more conversation and know your stuff. OK, so now we can go back and say that, OK, well, you don't know any scripts. OK, well, let's put the compound effect into that. Read one script every morning and make that the one, the for sale by owner or expired or withdrawn, whichever one you want to do, and make those, have us before you get a script partner. Is what I'm trying to say, is read that to yourself, read it out loud every single day. Read it in the car 10 times before you get to work. Go into your office and read it 5 more times. And then when you're comfortable and you've got it down pat, try it on one of your friends. Try it on a new agent. Try it on a senior agent. Try it on your broker. Try it on somebody. Try it on your wife. Try it on your dog. Try it on your girlfriend. Try it on your boyfriend. Try it on your husband. Try it on somebody.
I wonder how many brokers you made me picture like stopping, do like a spot check on one of your brokers or on your broker for script practice and just like dive in doing a script. I wonder how many would actually respond like instinctively and jump back in to respond and like go back and forth with you.
Right.
That would be, man, if somebody can do that, let us know how it goes. I think that'd be awesome just to jump in. I know we have some people at the old office and that you can like start saying something and they'll just intuitively go that, and they like did that to me. Yeah. But I wonder, once you get to broker, not everybody is at that same level. But I think that'd be kind of fun.
Well, a lot of brokers are too. Also, we're never on that level. We're never on that level, or have maybe you never even made the calls or anything like that. But like, like our old office, one of our brokers and one of our OPs, the operating partners. I mean, she cut her teeth 20 years ago on for sale by owners. She tells a story about how her office was decorated with all covered head to toe, desk, wall, ceiling, everything with for sale by owner signs. That was her thing, is when she went to go list them, she would always ask, may I have this sign? Because you're not going to need it. And if they were like, oh, I spent $3 on it, she's like, well, here's $3. And I'm going to take this with me. Awesome. Yeah. And so I kind of started doing the same thing. I started taking for sale by owners as like war badges, right? And so I'd have them in the corner. Actually, I think I still have like 3 of them in my garage. Getting yelled at all the time. However, let's get back to it. Choices. So choices. You have to make the choice that you want something. And then start making those small habits every day. So set your goals, and then make a little daily habit every single day that goes towards that. So that goes in that other right there is the habits,
yep.
right? So create habits of lead generation, right? This is not going to just happen magically for you. I like to just kind of step off my high horse real quick and let everybody know that out there that this isn't going to happen for you, unless you want it, unless you have a decent enough, a big enough why. Why did you get your real estate license? Why did you do these things? What were your expectations of the business? Did you think it was just going to get handed to you? Were you like me and you thought that everybody was just going to start
doing business with you?
I had to up my phone plan because I thought I was going to go through all my anytime minutes, just talking real estate deals all the time. That was not, I
First
didn't
year
even
agent
need a
upgrade,
phone.
unlimited everything.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
I didn't even need a phone my first year because nobody was calling. I could have used a beeper.
I was just going to say, oh man, you took it from me. I was like, should have just got a pager.
Yeah. It's so I had to over time create habits, and at first I cut my teeth on the leasing thing. And then I realized how I could, with little habits and little choices, I could start sprinkling in conversations about leasing, coming up and mustering up the energy to say, hey, why are you leasing? Why are you not buying? You seem to have very good credit. You've got 2 pets and this house over here is $2,000. You need a first month's deposit and you need the first month's rent. That's $4,000 plus pets. That's $4,500. I know of something down the road that's a USDA home that has 0 down and zero closing costs that I can get you into. And you get to keep that $4,500.
You pay yourself that $4,500.
Right, you get to keep that in your pocket, and you don't have a payment for the next 2 months. Damn. So you get to save that also. And once I started every day learning that conversation better is when I started converting. So after that first year of me making nothing, the 43 or the 4,800 I always talk about, moving on to winning the Rookie of the Year was because I started having more of those conversations, and I didn't just start having them.
They didn't just magically happen?
Right. It was a compounding effect.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. Nothing magically happened in this.
Right.
I had to work for it. Right. So I had to realize that it was like the muscle memory of when I heard certain things, it was like the muscle memory of or the RAS that I would respond in certain ways that would hopefully get them to listen to me about the benefits of home ownership. That sounds not so cheesy, but but it's true. It's like, in a year,
You kind of make it sound less cheesy.
Right.
The statements are very cheesy. They sound just horrible.
well, because a lot of
until you craft it into what it really
until
means.
you craft it into you,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so that was a compounding effect. Also, my statements and my inquiries or questions got a lot less cheesy, awkward. Right.
Yeah.
Over time, because it was a compounding effect. Everything we do is a compounding effect. This podcast, we started out, it was really rough. It's still really rough.
Marshall is really rough.
with the Yeti mic and the little sounds and all the stuff. Man, talk
Ears
about,
popping and
it was rough.
I can think
was
of a
rough.
habit that
The
we're
quality.
working on here in the office, or I guess a bad habit is we go out to lunch every single day, waste about an hour, waste about at least $10.
Yep.
So starting to make my lunch, trying to make that a habit to bring it. I brought my lunch today. And while we're eating lunch, we try to watch a little educational video or some kind.
That should be a
some
rule. We
training.
should start
In the
doing
training
that
room?
at least once a week.
That's about 20 extra
We have
hours.
been.
Well, if we do it every day, that's 20 hours.
You actually brought me barbecue today, so there's no reason for me to leave.
And if we just eat out one time a week, that's still 16 hours of learning. And
Yeah, and the colossal
What, how much
money will
money?
say,
40,
right?
80,
It's
160?
compounding. If we took that money and we put that into savings every day, if I say we spend $15 on lunch every day, or I do, just on myself, $15, every single day, that's a fantastic amount of money at the end of the month, right? That I could blow on something else. I've been giving myself a hard time about buying a third Apple TV. I'm like, oh, you don't need it, but I want it on a different TV downstairs so I can, kind of stream stuff and I don't have to whip out my laptop and I can stop getting a hard time for looking at my phone. Now I can just cast it to the TV and stop watching TV. So it's a genius plan, until she wants to change the channel.
Dang.
But create habits, and creating habits every single day in your lead generation, like I was talking about, will pay dividends for you, right? So if you start calling one for sale by owner a day, and so that's 5 in a week. So the next Monday you're going to start off, you're going to call 2. That means you've done 10, right? And now your conversations are compounding as well. You're getting better at conversations. You're getting better at rebuttals. You're getting better at
Delivery.
objection handling. You're getting better, of course, at your delivery. And then you're getting yeses, right? And then you're gaining confidence that, oh my gosh, this stuff works, right? I'm going to continue to dive deep and read another or read other scripts, right? And so now I'm calling 3 FSBOs a day. Now I'm going to implement the 4th call is going to be to an expired, right? There's expireds almost every single day. In our market, they're pretty bleak. However, I know that they're out there, right? And through the whole MLS, there's always something expired. And I'm sure the vultures are out there that start calling at 7 o'clock in the morning. However, if you can get through and you can have a genuine conversation with somebody, you can really kind of circumvent or just kind of like get them to forget about everybody that called before you. And so how you can do that is by being the professional in those compounding conversations you're having in script practices and everything else. And so that leads also into creating habits about lead follow-up is setting time to follow up to those calls, right? So those initial calls we had talked about in the past is never leave a message. Don't ever ask anybody to call you back. Always set that expectation that you're going to call the next week, the next 2 weeks to follow up. Send them something of value. Send them something out of bannerseason.com. If you want to know more about Banner Season, you can reach out to us at Top Shelf at 88000, or just go over to Facebook and look for our page over there, which is Top Shelf Real Estate Agents. Banner Season's on there. It's a tool that was Jim McCord turned me onto this tool, and it is just paying dividends, and it's really that personal touch to this whole building a relationship to get people to know, like, and trust me, right? And
People get
it's one of
so
those things,
excited when they get a card.
It's a compounding effect, right? And so getting people to know, like, and trust you has to be a compound effect.
It's funny that it has the same effect on us, and we do it to other people. Like when we get gifts or deliveries for stuff, everyone's like, "Oh, that's awesome!" Everyone gets really excited. And we know why they're doing it. We're doing the same thing everybody else is doing. But even knowing the context and how it's done, the whole system, anytime we get it, we still get excited for it. It's just one of those things that just naturally works really well for people.
And those choices and those habits right there, where you talked about, once you find that why and why are you going to break the bad habit? Maybe it's not a why about, why you're doing this. Maybe it's a why you're breaking the bad habit. Maybe it's why the bad habit could be not lead generating every single morning, right? It could be only lead generating twice, or just buying leads. It can be I want to break the habit of being a baby bird, right? What do I mean by that? Baby bird is like you see where when you have the mama bird sitting there and chews the worm up and spits it back into your mouth. That's what I liken all these agents in this office to.
You've been on a baby bird kick for like the past 2 weeks, and it still makes me laugh every single time you bring it up.
Because I thought it was like one of the best analogies I've ever come up with. Stupid. Of like walking into a brokerage and a bunch of people that can't fish for themselves are all like baby birds, right? And so when they don't get their leads, they get angry like little baby birds, right?
Yeah.
And so killer baby birds. So we'll call that the big momentum. Once you get these habits, these choices, these habits going, then you create some momentum behind this, right? And so you're some of your habits are compounding. You're seeing the results, right? The result is if it's just one more appointment, if it's one more contract, if it's one more escrow, then it's going to equal one more sold. It's going to equal one more person in your database, right? And if you're doing these things on a consistent basis, because now you have that momentum, there's no turning back. Now you're going to create more habits, right? So now you're going to say, my gosh, this works. I don't have to just fire out of the gates and change my life and go from waking up at 6:30 every morning to waking up at 4:30 every morning. I don't have to, go walk 10 miles. I started off by walking a half mile every morning with my dogs. That turned into a mile. That turned into 2 miles. That turned into 4 miles. And now I'm running 5Ks. I'm not. I'm just saying.
Good analogy.
That made me tired just hearing that. I was like, what?
Well, mine was I was going around the neighborhood. I was walking a lot. I was doing that. I wanted a little bit more, so I tried out Orange Theory, right? Mm-hmm. And so I would go to Orange Theory once a week. Then it turned into twice a week. Then it turned into 3. Now it's at 5. And now I religiously go at 5. I didn't go this morning because I woke up too early and kind of canceled because I had a little crick in my neck. And, I was feeling feeling a little down. But
no, but you've been going on weekends or going on off times, too, to make up for days?
Yeah.
Like
which
was
I'll do
a
today.
week or two ago or something like that? You're like, oh, I missed a day. And then another, like a few days later, you're like, oh, I went in, I had to make it up.
Yep.
So that's good.
So just keeping up with the habits, you know.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
it's about choices. You know, do I want to feel like 10 pounds of poop in a 5-pound bag, or do I want to feel like, you know, I'm rejuvenated and just kind of, you know, feel good. And if I do eat something, if I give myself a hard time for eating 2 or 3, maybe a whole pizza, I get in there the next morning and I try to work it off as best as I can. Right. And so if I knock out 3,000 calories on a Friday night, so on a Saturday morning, I show up to the 90-minute class and hopefully I can hit 1,300 of those calories and at least take them off and get my splat points and, you know, keep it going and keep the burn going for the next, you know, day. And then I'll show up the next morning on Sunday. You know, I like the classes on the weekends because they're not as packed as they are at 6:15 in the morning. Yeah. But, you know, influences, what do you mean by this, influences, Marshall?
I knew you was coming over to me. Even though everyone is 100% responsible for their life and their choices they make, there are subtle influences or external forces that you need to be aware of that will put you off track. So 3 kinds of influences: input, associations, and environment or your surroundings.
Right. You want to make sure that you're in a good environment. You're the sum of the 5 people you hang around, right? Mm-hmm. And so I am just kidding. I was going to try to crack a joke to rack on you two guys, but some of the 5 people you hang around, like I like the sum of the 5 people I hang around. I hang around with you guys in the office. I hang around with you, you know, around here. And I would say that you guys definitely influence how my day goes.
It's
right.
The same.
And so you, if you come straight in, Marshall, and you don't say much and you get straight to work and I hear you in there making phone calls, I'm like, well, hey, there's no better time to make phone calls. You know, I got Marshall in there. He's not going to walk in here and really, disturb me or whatever else. And I put my little, hey, I'm prospecting sign on the door and I get after it. Right. And so I know that everybody's doing that. We're sticking to our schedule every day, which we've done for years. And we're going to lead generate from 9 to noon. Right. Or 9 to 11:30 or so. And so, you know, those are habits that we seem to be getting away from a little bit because now we've got more. Right. So now we've got the podcast. Every once in a while we do a Zoom meeting that's similar to the podcast. Right. Mm-hmm. And so we do marketing. We've started a marketing company called Squirrel Farm Media, right? And so we've also got something going on that's under the lid right now that we're trying to create. So we're always trying to create more things or take on more, not necessarily side hustles, but it's something that can gradually get bigger and pick up with momentum, you know, and it's the same compounding effect. If we work on those side companies every day to grow them, we can get away from some of the stuff that we do over here where we always have to be looking for what? That new business, right? Mm-hmm. And so
constant
we're always
hustle.
It's a constant hustle to bring in and attract the new business. I mean, I think our database is big enough to where we can cast a wide net and we can really do the marketing things we're doing. You know, we've really picked it up on Facebook ads. I would say it's a compounding effect when it came to the Facebook ads. We knew Facebook ads like the back of our hands. A lot of things have changed over the years, over the last couple of years. Placements, who you can market to, everything else. I guess on their end, Facebook has done compounding effects of changing it. They changed the algorithm on us, and so we kind of gave up on it. We didn't see big returns. We were realizing that on social media marketing or Facebook marketing, that it necessarily wasn't bringing in clients that wanted to buy right then and there, that it was a long game, right? So it was an 8 to 13 month game. It was a constant follow-up game, and we need to look at that as more of a doing all the things that has made us successful over the past years and then putting Facebook ads back into it as an accelerator, as kind of just gasoline to dump on top. Yep. And it's a lot of, I don't use Facebook ads really to get people to fill out a lead sheet, right? I use Facebook ads to get in front of people to create top of mind awareness, right? Mm-hmm. And top of mind awareness is a long game. Right. And so that's a big compounding effect right there, is that the more that people watch my videos, the more that the campaigns pick up, the more I can create lookalike audiences, the more I can shoot those audiences out and they'll grow and grow and grow. We've got a video that has 27,000 views on it. Right. I don't know if they're 3-second views. I don't know if they're 10-second views. I don't know if they watched the whole thing. I can almost certainly guarantee they didn't watch the whole thing. But, you know, it's like I can take that audience, and now we've learned by the compounding effect of coming in and learning Facebook ad at a high level every single morning, getting with James Rimbert, you know, and going to what's the site, Facebook ads for realtors.
Yep.
Hyperlocal Domination. That's a private one. No, that's a private coaching thing. But you would never know that because you don't go in there, because you don't respect it that I paid so much money to be in there. But whatever. I digress. That's compounding guilt. It's the compounding effect of guilt. Oh, geez. Anyway, no. So go over to Facebook ads for realtors. Look for James Rembrandt's group. So you'll learn a ton in there. We're learning a ton. So let's move on to acceleration, which I had just talked about right there. How can we be accelerating this whole thing, Marsh?
Accelerating. So is it okay just to throw in the towel and stop? No. So once you get that momentum going and you got everything in place, just keep running with it. I can't think of the previous jobs that I had, you kind of go through some basic training and then you get thrown into the job, and that's about the last you ever hear of it. This is the only profession I've ever been in where we're constantly trying to do better. We're constantly learning. We're constantly trying to break our bad habits. We're always trying to do new habits. And it's just really just so much to learn and so much to do here.
Yeah.
It's just amazing.
Yeah, and there's a lot of hats we have to wear in this business, and some of them we can hang up, and not pick up again. There's certain things in this business that I can't wait for me personally, not to have to do anymore. One's like coming up with podcast topics, James.
That's rough.
I always throw them off, but
I found this great topic.
Oh gosh, no, you didn't. But I did like this one. I saw this earlier, and it said it's Tony Robbins' No Man's Land.
I found it in our group chat.
They're like my two kids fighting over your last Cheerio.
Nothing's going to change with your career. So I don't know where any of you listeners are at in your careers. I don't know if you're just starting out. I know our show is more geared towards the folks that are just starting out or struggling a little bit, or agents returning, or maybe we have some sharks out there that are just, just killer at the business and don't really need any help and just listen to us for the
validation.
Very low comedic value we bring to the podcast. But I did like this one from Tony Robbins that no man's land means you're not happy about your life, but you're not unhappy enough to change it, right? And I think a lot of us get stuck in that. We're not happy with our careers, but we're not unhappy enough to change it. I can go back to when I was a first-year agent, that I was unhappy with the way I was approaching real estate. I felt that I was in no man's land. I didn't have a lot of people helping me. I wasn't part of a brokerage that was a big, this whole, sharing culture that's going on now, this whole learning culture that's going on now. And I'm certain it was going on back then. Where I was, it wasn't happening and I didn't know about it.
Environment.
Right. And so, yeah, it was a bad environment. And it wasn't a bad environment, but it wasn't the best environment for me to be in to thrive. Right. And so it was by me going out and trying to find certain things and coming up with certain better habits to watch, informative videos on YouTube, and then striving for more information, right? And so when I was able to do that, when I was unhappy enough at the way things were going, and I knew that I was going to end the year making almost no money, and at 38 years old, that wasn't going to cut it. And I was kind of running out of options. It was kind of like, oh man, I'm going to have to go get a salaried job somewhere. It was like, man, that would make me even more unhappy. I don't care that I could command a $100,000 salary more than likely, right? With a sales company or whatever else, and I could work for somebody, or I could even sell cars, or I could go back to work for like a Dell Computers type place, and I could do whatever. But that made me more happy since I had been self-employed since I was 25, right? And so I didn't want to do that. That's a long time being self-employed. That's a long time without technically having a boss, And I mean, you're always going to have a boss, but it's just kind of like I was unhappy enough, but I was just unhappy enough to change it. So I started seeking more, and I knew that I had to surround myself with better people. I met Steve Foll.
Marshall Tucker.
I met
Marshall.
He's not going to let you out of that.
Marshall.
And all of a sudden I've changed this about me, but I'm the only thing that I know, right? So I'm the only one that I've known that like applied the compound effect, but didn't know it. Now it's identified what it was the compound effect, is what I'm getting at. And so I made small choices all the time, and I was just unhappy enough to start changing things. And so most people, we always talk about the people that fail out of this business, the other realtors that fail out of this business. 8 out of 10 realtors fail. And I think if we had a shot to talk to any of them and say, hey, look, let's just change some of your habits, right? You have some bad habits. Do you go into the office and just sit there? Do you go into the office and just drink coffee, James? Do you go into the office and just hang out?
James.
Are you just there to hang out and walk the hall, James? And
I don't walk the halls.
It walked
There's
all-
nowhere to go
there's
now.
Nowhere to go now. We're in a much smaller office.
He left the other day and went outside. I was like, oh, he's walking outside the complex.
Little James is on his own. But it was now that the I read the book Compound Effect. I mean, it identifies a lot of things that I had to do, and so I had to be just sick enough of everything. How much longer can you carry on just doing one deal a month? And if the average deal's $250,000 and the average check is $7,500, and you give up $2,500 of that to your broker, and yours is $5,000, and you have a mortgage and you have a car payment, you maybe have a kid or two, and
Insurance.
wife insurance, all the bills, $5,000 isn't going too far. That's $60,000 a year. Of course you can make that work, in some capacity. However, if you want your unfair share of more, you've got to do more. Right.
Yeah.
And so your bad habits might be telling yourself over again every day that nobody wants to hear from you. Nobody likes the telephone. Nobody wants to hear my text. Nobody wants a video text from me. Nobody wants this. And so those are bad habits. If you get out of this and you start with the affirmations, you start with script practicing, you start reading more things, you'll gain that confidence. Confidence is a compounding effect, right?
Yep.
And so that's where we're at today with this compound effect thing. If you have any input on this one, of course you can, and let us know at Top Shelf at 88000. We're going to get out of here for the day. We want to thank Magic Mike over at Guaranteed Rate. You can hit him at Magic Mike at 88000. If you are EXP curious, do not forget to give me a call at 512-773-6461. Now Marshall's going to yell in your ear,
I'm out.